And welcome back to the Baseball Development Hub podcast. My name is Trevor Powers, and I am joined, as always, on the podcast by co-host Dan Galati. Dan, it feels nice to be back. For those that aren't watching on the YouTube and they're listening on your headphones, I am back in the old podcast studio, and it feels good.
Yeah, it's good to see you back in your normal setup, not having to be on the road somewhere. Feels good for us to be able to hop back on here in general. Weird weather day here, but it feels good.
Yeah, no doubt. We're obviously in the thick of the Christmas season and really excited with some of the content that we have that has come out on the page. Interview with Coach Eric Bakich came out last week. Obviously, our player development content, interview with Josh Epstein, pitching coach at Richmond. This week, we'll have an interview with Nate Thompson, Arkansas's hitting coach, coming out as we get closer and closer to the holiday season. Just to update everybody, we're going to take a little bit of a break come holiday time. That doesn't mean there's going to be nothing on the channel. We'll still have podcast episodes. We'll still be clipping up our episodes and things like that to ensure that you're still able to get the content that you need. But in terms of our interviews and our in-person stuff, we're going to push that back. This week will be the last week until we get into the new year. But Dan, obviously we're somewhat fresh, but this is the first time we've recorded since going to Clemson and getting to see kind of what they have going on down there. And what are some of the takeaways? I know tomorrow will be 2 weeks exactly, so it's not going to be fresh by any means. But what are some of the takeaways that you had from visiting with them and getting to see what Coach Bakich and company are building?
Yeah, you said 2 weeks, and it feels like it was 6 months ago. I beautiful campus, great facility. Like you go to all these different places, these different schools, whether it be Arkansas, Arizona, Maryland, West Virginia, Penn State, all the places we've been, Georgia, Dallas Baptist, and like I'm always interested and curious. One of the things that I'm excited to see about places is like, what's the culture? Kind of what are they about? Who are they? What does it mean to be a part of this particular program? And in a lot of those places, you hear a lot of similar themes. And I don't want to say they're interchangeable because different people, different campuses, different climate, like all that does play a role into it, in my opinion, when I'm evaluating stuff like that. Clemson, to me, truly feels the most unique, maybe, of all of these places. What Coach Bakich has there, the way they run things, the way that what he makes important. One of my favorite questions, if you guys listen to all these interviews with head coaches, I love asking, how do you decide what's important today, what's important right now? The way they answer that question, the way he has built that thing, is kind of, it's unique, it's fun. It's very different, I want to say, which is interesting because, he comes from a very impressive coaching tree, obviously. And I think, though, that like if you look at the difference between a Vanderbilt program, coached with Tim Corbin, and his program, I think they're very different in how they're run and what's important. He is big, though, just like Coach Corbin, on the classroom setting and things like that. But kind of the stuff outside of that and how they do things, the vibe they've created there, the fun they want to have. And, I like you go to a lot of these places and like development's a big thing, or, intensity to win. You go to LSU and like the pressure to win. And Clemson, I feel like it's like, what's your goal? And they're like, let's have fun.
Mm-hmm. Let's win at a high level and let's have fun. Right. And I would definitely agree with that. And obviously, for anybody who follows the Clemson baseball program, obviously they take a fall game against the Savannah Bananas and use that as a competition day. And that's a really good way to embrace the community, especially the youth of the community, and bring people together and kind of around Clemson baseball, which is, I think, really cool. And I think the biggest compliment that I could give Coach Bakich is he's an innovator, right? And not in the way that we envision so many innovators in our sport, like, oh, they're on the forefront of technology, or, oh, they're really finding out a way to use, pitch movement profiles and put it into a different lens to explain to their guys. They do a really good job with that. Like, that's not to say that they don't do a good job with that, but his ideas that he has in terms of how to build a culture, how to build a community, how to embrace some different things. And whether it's youth baseball, whether it's showcase baseball, whether it's college baseball, he's very understanding and open to what the modern day is. I mean, a really cool clip that we put out, Dan always likes to finish an interview with what do the next 5 years look like. And he said it kind of jokingly, but he said a full-time restaurant in the outfield. And it's like, that's so cool, right? And when you're there, we're lucky enough, we've been there for a game and you see it, right? And they've embraced that. The community's embraced this baseball program, and Coach Bakich has embraced the community and has really prioritized how to get them involved, to feel like they're a part of it, to feel like every success and failure they have, the fans are playing a role. And that's very important to him. And I think he said some things off the record that were really cool and innovative, of ways to improve baseball at all levels, right? Improve it for, and not just for the players. Like he said, if he ever was to host a recruiting event, a showcase tournament at Clemson, he would host a carnival in the outfield. And it was just something that he probably doesn't even really think about being that impactful. But as somebody who's recruited those, that landscape, who's coached in that landscape, who's been a director of showcase, who's seen how much these parents sacrifice, these siblings sacrifice, and all of these things, he made the point of, our parents come to these events and they're sedentary. They sit there for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours at a field and don't move from their chair. Let's give them something to get them up, get them active, to stay healthy, and give them an opportunity to do these different things. So I really, if there's anything that's stood out to me, right? And he was unbelievable in all aspects, right? Like, this is not just the one. Just like how willing he is to go against conventional norms for a guy who's been under some of your more, well-known, structured, like, we're going to do things this way, we're going to wear the same thing, we're going to do all these things. For him to kind of embrace what the kids nowadays need and what the communities and the fans want to see, it's really exciting, because I do think whatever they believe is possible at Clemson in terms of doubling the capacity of that stadium, putting a full-time restaurant, adding outfield seating, whatever they believe they can do in terms of fan experience, he's the one guy in the country that I 100% would put my faith in, that he's going to do something that's going to benefit everybody in that community and not just the baseball program.
Yeah, and he's like he cares about the individuality of his players and the marketing of his players, and he wants those guys to have a brand. Whereas a lot of places we have gone to and been to, and I'm not saying one's right and one's wrong. You have to do it, whatever you believe in. As a program leader, you just have to go with that. But a lot of these places you go to, like, you're a part of the program. No one's bigger than the program. Fit into the program. Where at Clemson, it feels like you are the program, each guy individually. I want you to have a brand. I want you to have a following. I want you to be able to make money off of it in some cases, right? With NIL and marketing deals. And he truly believes in that structure and the environment he has created. It's fascinating, because I do think that when you get into I wouldn't say it's like a little more professional-ish as far as that goes, with how, you have your superstars who have their like brand and image in Major League Baseball. You have to be really good at setting a culture if you're going to do that. So that guy, so that jealousy doesn't come up and tear. And he does. Like, he gets those guys to believe in it, and he does it. Like, each individual making up a team is just, I think, like, his biggest strength, and how he goes about it. And like you said, and then add on top of it, just like his creativity and how he approaches their work, and how he approaches growing Clemson baseball as a brand is incredibly, again, unique, impressive, and really fun to talk to. Like, just another guy that, even off the record, just like picking his brain about things that had not even anything to do with baseball in some circumstances, just really insightful. And like, you can just see, he's one of those guys when, like, you can see the gears turning. Oh, here's an idea. And it's no wonder why he's successful, and he's been successful wherever he's been, and he's successful at Clemson right now, and getting them, they're hosting regionals every year. And sooner or later, if you're hosting a regional every year, sooner or later, you're going to break through.